last time Michael Jordan won a championship in Phoenix, he needed his teammate John Paxson to save the day.
He just went for it, and I'm glad.
Now, 31 years later, it's Tyler Reddick that will have to rise to the occasion for his airness.
We did what it took to win this race.
But standing in Jordan's way this time won't be Charles Barkley and the Sons. It'll be Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Joey Logano.
Incredible turn of events here.
It's the Final Four. The final race. Around the Track starts now.
Avondale, Arizona, and while the name might not be as famous as saying Phoenix, someone's name will live forever after winning a NASCAR championship this weekend in the desert. And welcome into a special championship edition of Around the Track. I'm Carla Gebhardt. We've got America's crew chief Larry McReynolds standing by in our race control Charlotte studio. We're going to touch base with him in just a minute, but he is not the only guy that we have standing by right now. We have two drivers in a fight for a championship this weekend. We've got defending Cup Series champion Ryan Blaney and Xfinity Series driver Justin Allgaier. But the thing that we care most about right now is who is going to win this championship and who gets to party in Phoenix at the end of the weekend. And this one really, it's one race and it's all for the gold this weekend. That's what we've got going on for all the drivers. NASCAR has every driver on the track this weekend, but really only the championship four will be eligible to take home the title in each of those series. Expect heavy use of the apron today as drivers try to find any way to shorten up those lap times and further push the guys back in to get shuffled up. Now, Phoenix is notorious for insanely tight restarts, so winning it could come down to who's been the best launch off that restart zone. Don't forget about Rattlesnake Hill either. We're going to dive deeper into that in just a minute, but crew chiefs, they've got their notebooks full back in March when we were here earlier in the season, but the bigger question is, did they fill it enough to fuel their team to a championship?
We go back and there's a lot of SMT, there's a lot of communication between all of us just sitting in a room and hashing it out.
Attitude, the mindset, everyone's excitement level, everything seems like it's in a really good place.
I feel less pressure, but at the same time, it's more about the result. Like last year, it was an honor to be in the championship four. It felt good to be here, but this year feels like, we know what the goal is. It's win the championship, and anything short of that is not going to be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat milestones that we can accomplish this weekend. But I think it would just mean a lot to go back to back. It's something that's really difficult to do. Obviously, it hadn't been done in a while. There's a reason for that. It's hard to get here 2 years in a row and then perform on the weekend. So, yeah, the world, meaning more than the first, to be honest with you.
Looking at Phoenix Raceway by the numbers, it's a 1 mile dogleg oval track with relatively low banking ranging from 3 degrees on the backstretch to 11 degrees in turns 3 and 4. Now, Kevin Harvick has mastered this track with 9 wins. That's the most all time. But if we're talking active drivers, Kyle Busch and someone in the championship hunt, that's Joey Logano. They both have 3 wins here. There are also 2 Cup champion contenders who've won Xfinity Series titles as well, and that is Tyler Reddick and William Byron. And we know that if a driver is in the fight for a championship this weekend, there is only one crew chief that we want in our pick box, and of course that is America's crew chief Larry McReynolds, joining us now from our Charlotte studio. Larry, you hear the trucks on the track right now. It's a live track tonight, so it's very loud here, but Phoenix Raceway presents a lot of challenges to drivers. What challenges specifically do they present?
Yeah, Carly, it's a 1 mile racetrack, but really it's a 1 mile short track. You've got those long straightaways, but then you've got those long, flat, sweeping corners. The cars don't want to be loose getting in the corner. They won't want to turn in the middle, and then they'll be loose off. And this is a 312 lap race. And it's known for also having long green flag runs. You go back to the spring race, stage 2 went caution free. So the big thing, these drivers have to have a good short run speed car in case we get that late race caution, but you have to have good long run speed as well.
All right, so let's talk about the Cup Series Championship 4 now. We've got Joey Logano, we've got Tyler Reddick, we've got William Byron and Ryan Blaney. That's 2 from the Ford camp. We've got 1 from the Hendrick camp. That's a Chevy. And then, of course, 2311 with Tyler Reddick. That's a Toyota. All these drivers, Larry, really got to the championship in very different ways. Without picking a winner, who has maybe the most momentum coming into the race this weekend?
Well, I would say all of them, Carla, because when you look at these 4 drivers and these 4 teams, they have collectively combined won 12 races this year, 3 wins apiece. You look at William Byron in that 2014. They've not won since Martinsville back in the spring, but they're sitting on 6 consecutive top 10 finishes. Joey Logano on that 22 team, you know, they only have 6 top 5s all year long, but they've had 2 additional weeks to prepare for this Phoenix race. Tyler Reddick, 2311, they have had a rough playoff, but they got that win at Las Vegas. They had an additional week. I think it's really kind of hard to handicap, but who would ever believe we would have a championship 4 without a Joe Gibbs Toyota? We have a Toyota, but as you mentioned, Tyler Reddick in that 2311 number 45 Toyota.
And, of course, we got to talk about how we got here, Larry. It's a little bit tainted after Martinsville with NASCAR handing down some major fines to Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, and Austin Dillon for that race manipulation that happened. Of course, RCR appealed. They lost. The other 2 teams decided not to appeal. So my biggest question here is, did NASCAR do enough to maybe keep race manipulation from happening on this weekend?
I think they drew a pretty distinct line in the sand, and I would be very surprised if anybody tries to manipulate anything this weekend at Phoenix. Mr. T, he had a saying, "I pity the fool that tries anything like what went on at Martinsville." That was a bad look for our sport, and I just think that the statement has been made when you think about all the points that was taken away from those drivers and those owners. Over $500,000 in fines. They're without their crew chiefs, they're without their spotters, they're without a team principal. I think NASCAR made a statement that really needed to be made, and I think everybody got the message loud and clear.
And NASCAR also came down on Christopher Bell at Martinsville after maybe that Ross Chastain type move that he pulled on the very final lap. Of course, they called that a safety violation. Christopher Bell, now not in the championship 4, was a bit shocking, I think, for a lot of fans out there. But I want to know, Larry, how close is C. Bell to actually winning a title in his career?
I think he's right there. You know, he's made the championship 4 2 consecutive years, and I got to believe those other drivers, Caller, they are glad this 20 team is not a part of this race on Sunday as far as the championship. He won the Phoenix race back in the spring. This is his 5th season. He's 29 years old. It's his 4th year at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think the big thing he has in his corner is crew chief Adam Stevens. Adam Stevens has 2 championships, both with Kyle Busch when Kyle was at Joe Gibbs Racing.
All right, Larry, you're going to stick around. We got a lot more to go and to break down with you on the Phoenix Raceway Championship weekend for NASCAR. But we got more on Around the Track, including an interview with a driver that we just did earlier this afternoon. And it's a guy that wants another shot at a championship.
It's like eating cookies. You know, like the first one's good, you want one, but after you eat the first one, you want more.
In case you couldn't figure it out, the cookies are championships, and Blaney is hungry to go back-to-back. We go one-on-one with the reigning Cup Series champion next. And Michael Jordan is known as the king of the court, but he was actually in court versus NASCAR with Denny Hamlin as his wingman. An update on his Airness's lawsuit, that's on deck. And yes, everyone is talking about the championship, but one driver is going to be hanging it up full-time after the weekend. MTJ, this one is for you. We'll talk about it when Around the Track continues. It's the last few laps for Martin Truex Jr., at least full-time. The driver of the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing is done vying for championships after the weekend. Truex, who won the Cup Series title back in 2017, has been pondering retirement for quite some time now and made the call midway through the season to quit doing it full time. But don't worry, though, he is going to be back next season for a few one-off races for 23XI, including the Daytona 500, where sources tell us he's going to be in that 50 car. For MTJ, though, it's just time to go fishing. And, of course, if Martin Truex Jr. does drive that 50 car in Daytona, his team owner, at least for the weekend, is going to be Michael Jordan. And the NBA great was in court earlier this week with co-owner Denny Hamlin. And, of course, this all had to do with the lawsuit, the antitrust lawsuit for 23XI and Front Row Motorsports that they put against NASCAR. It was a preliminary hearing that had two teams asking a judge to waive a clause that keeps teams from suing NASCAR and allows them to sign an agreement so that they can continue racing either as a charter team or a non-charter open team. All of this started when the two teams sued NASCAR over how revenue is shared between teams and the people who run the sport. And Jordan did say, quote, he put all his cards on the table. Here with defending Cup Series champion Ryan Blaney, and this has got to feel a little bit like deja vu for you. Winning Martinsville, now back in the championship four. How much more prepared do you feel going into this one as opposed to last season?
Yeah, it's definitely nice to be back here and doing it in exciting fashion. Last week was really great, and I think we bring a ton of confidence over. So, yes, you know, as far as the preparation work, I feel like the prep work is the same. I definitely feel like we're more comfortable as a 12 team just because we just did this a year ago. And just did this as we were here. You know, we kind of went through the motions of the weekend and were able to achieve what we wanted to achieve last year. So you just kind of know a little bit more what to expect and change things up that you did last year that, hey, maybe we can do better in these moments. So, yeah, I think just that experience is always nice to have. You said on Media Day on the podium that this one might mean more to you if you were to win it as opposed to your first one. Why? Yeah, I think for multiple reasons, like having the unique chance to go back-to-back would be huge. Bringing Roger Penske 3 in a row would make a lot. Bringing Ford 3 in a row would mean a lot. And, you know, I talked about it, I think at the beginning of Media Day a couple months ago. I think our team and me too, like we're more hungry to win the second one than the first one. Because I feel like, you know, you don't know what to expect and feel when your first one, when you accomplish it. So you want to get another one because you want that feeling back, right? You want to know, you want to experience that again. So I think it just makes you hungrier. Just keep wanting to come back, and it's like eating cookies. You know, like the first one's good, you want one, but after you eat the first one, you want more. You know, you want more and more, and you get jealous that there's still more in the pack. So hopefully we can relive what we did last year. A lot of people are saying that you're the favorite going into this one. Do you feel like the favorite? No, I really don't think that way. You know, that kind of comes from, you know, the outside, right? And all three other guys, you know, William, Joey, and Tyler are going to be really good. They're with great teams. They've accomplished a lot, and they deserve to be here, just like our group. So you treat everybody like everybody else, you know. So, and it's nice to be labeled the favorite, but at the same time, you still have to have the grit and determination like your underdogs, because I feel like that's what our team strives off of, and that's what makes us super hungry. So I don't really pay any attention. All right, Ryan Blaney, good luck, and we appreciate it. Thanks.
We're not just crowning a Cup Series champion. The CW Network is going to have all the fireworks as the Final Four in the Xfinity Series is getting pretty fierce. I mean, look at AJ right here. He's fired up. We'll talk about it next. Back here at Phoenix Raceway, and man, the action on the CW Network has been amazing this season, and what a season for the Xfinity Series just in general. Of course, one of the four drivers is going to cement their legacy in the sport on Saturday night in the Xfinity Series Championship. You got four drivers, three of which have never won a championship, and they're all going up against one guy that is the defending champion. But Cole Custer going to have quite a bit on his hands in this one. If you're looking at the field, not only is he driving for Stewart-Haas Racing, who's shutting down their doors at the end of the season, but he's got to hold off Justin Allgaier, a man who's been in the final 7 times without taking that trophy home, along with, of course, AJ Allmendinger, another veteran in the sport who spent the last decade bouncing between the top 2 series. And then, of course, there's Austin Hill, his first time racing for a title, and he's got a new strategy.
I don't know if we need to find something. At the end of the day, we just need to execute our weekend and go from there. This has been a solid place for us, and we should be able to hopefully have a fast car and be there at the end of this race, because that's all that matters.
Going to be the main thing that we have to focus on is like what our car going to free up, tighten up, like what is it going to do when it gets into that nighttime, because the only thing that matters this weekend is lap 200. Everything else from 199 to 0 doesn't matter. So what can we do to be the best that we can possibly be for that last lap?
All right, we're bringing Larry McReynolds back in for this one. Larry, you've done a great job of covering the Xfinity Series side for us this season. So I got to know, who do you think is the championship favorite in this one? And is it maybe Allgaier's year to finally get it done?
Well, a little bit like Cup, Carla, this is an interesting mix. And yeah, I look at Justin Allgaier. He's like the Denny Hamlin of the Xfinity Series. He's finished second in the points twice. He's just not been able to seal the deal. You mentioned it, Cole Custer is the only champion that's a part of this championship 4. I think on Saturday, it's also a short race. It's only 200 laps. I think it's going to come down to Cole Custer. Remember, he won this race a year ago to win that championship, but don't take your eye off that 7 car, Justin Allgaier. Go back to the spring race. He dominated this race, was leading with less than 5 laps to go when he cut a tire down. He's won there twice. Custer and Allgaier, they're the only 2 drivers in this championship 4 that's won at Phoenix. I think it's going to come down between that 7 and that 00.
That's right, and we're talking a little bit about Justin Allgaier. Like we've already mentioned, a guy that's tried 7 times to get it done before. He's a veteran in the sport, but he does want to be a NASCAR champion, and I got to talk with him in our second installment of Garage Confidential this week. All right, we're back inside Phoenix Raceway Media Center, and I'm here with one of the Xfinity Championship 4 drivers, Justin Allgaier. We are standing in front of this trophy. You're not going to touch it. You said that. But what would it mean for you to win this weekend?
It would be special, not only for myself, but for all the men and women that put their heart and soul into, a full season to get to this point. And really for me, I've been in this situation multiple times, but haven't been able to hoist this trophy. And there's a lot of people that in my 30-plus year racing career have helped me get to this point, and it would be special for everybody. As this championships in this sport are so hard to come by, and having an opportunity to go for a championship is amazing. But I would love to get rid of all the bad and actually walk out of here with a trophy and be able to finally touch this thing, because I've looked at it a lot of times and never been able to touch it.
Yeah, you said you didn't want to touch it because a little superstitious about it.
I'm not a superstitious person, but I do know that. I do know that there's a lot of people that are, and I feel like I don't want to be the person that causes somebody on my race team to have heart attack over this whole thing. So we're gonna go with not touching it, but at the same time, it's we found every way to lose these. Unfortunately, I need to find the way to win it.
Yeah, you mentioned that experience too of being in this position before. How can that experience help you on Saturday?
I think when you're here and you've experienced this, the nerves of this race are very unique. They're very different. A lot of folks say, "Oh, it's just another race," and it really is. The whole field is still battling against you. But when you have that opportunity to go for a championship, until you've experienced it, you don't really know what it feels like. I feel like for me, one of the beauties of this year is I've been here enough that I feel more at home, more comfortable. I'm able to look at this more of just like a regular race, and that helps. I think it calms you down some. But I've got 3 competitors that I'm going against that are great competitors. They've people that I respect a lot in the sport and are going to be tough. No matter which one of the 4 of us walks out of here with this trophy on Saturday afternoon, it's the 4 guys that we've all raced each other all year and battled each other week in and week out, and it would mean a lot to beat those guys just because of how much it would mean to walk out here with it.
All right. Well, we wish you all the best and appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right, it's time. Let's lock in a champion, and there's only one way to do that on Around the Track. Our Victory Lane locks are next. We've been bringing you the odds all year, so why stop now? Why or who does Vegas think is going to be hoisting the Bill France Cups on Sunday evening? Ryan Blaney is your favorite heading into the weekend. He has the slight edge at 9-4. That's plus 225 for all trying to do that quick math at home. And then, of course, it's a Charlotte kid from Hendrick Motorsports, William Byron at 2.5-1. Joey Logano just under 3-1 at plus 285. Tyler Reddick rounds out the championship 4 at plus 330. And of course, let's bring Larry Mack back in for our victory lane locks. Larry, this has been your bread and butter all season long, but I do have to say I did get my pick right at Martinsville going with Ryan and Blaney last week, so I got to know, who are you taking for the championship this year?
Well, I wouldn't bet against Blaney out there because he has 6 consecutive top 5s, including all top 5s in the Gen 7 car. But I think it's going to be 24-24. William Byron, I know for a fact it has been all hands on deck at Hendrick Motorsports this week. Rick Hendrick wants his championship in the 40th anniversary of HMS.
All right, so you're going 24-24. I'm going with Deja Vu, and of course Ryan Blaney. We talked about it in his interview earlier this week, but yeah, you win at Martinsville, and then I'm just think you got to ride the hot hand into the championship at Phoenix, and of course, yeah, Ryan Blaney back to back. That's my pick this week, and that's going to do it for us on Around the Track. That's the NASCAR season, the Around the Track season. We appreciate you joining us this season. Enjoy the off season.